Hey everyone, this is the Movie Maniac. Thank you all for watching and happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween indeed!
Yeah, so I'm here with my girlfriend. This is Katie Cupcake.
Hello!
And she's gonna join us. We want to do something special, and we thought, a lot of you are at home, a lot of you are missing out, including us, on like big Halloween events. And we thought, all right, let's bring that to you and bring this discussion out about things that remind us of Halloween, but also to put a spin on that too, maybe things that we identify with Halloween. So here's the game. We've both created a list, 5 things on the list. She has not seen mine. I have not seen hers. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. And actually, I want to start with you.
Okay.
You're the guest, so
Alright.
you get first
So I
first pickings.
just give you one of them, talk about them. We kind of go from there. So Halloween for me has always been a really big deal. I dressed up so much as a kid. So the first thing that I put on there was obviously dressing up. I trick-or-treated and dressed up until I was 18 years old, and my sister finally cut me off. And so the reason I put this on there is actually because now I dress up and go to Chipotle. And you get your free burrito or your free burrito bowl. And that is now Halloween for me. Like, I'm honestly looking forward to it so much, and I'm so mad that I might miss it because I have to work.
Yeah. I remember we actually did that a few years ago, and I was dressed up as a purger, which I'm not even like this massive Purge fan, but I think we had watched The Purge Anarchy for the first time.
Yep.
And that's the best one of them all. Like, the first one and the second are easily the best. And I remember getting really into it, and I was gonna create another just original character, and then I just ended up like, whatever, I'm just gonna put these little touches on it, and it was pretty good too. Maybe I'll include an image of it.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, so it's interesting how the older you get, things like that, you're going to like Chick-fil-A or Chipotle, getting your free food dressed up in a costume, as opposed to us literally trick-or-treating.
I once tried to trick-or-treat after 18 and no one would go with me, but I was like, we can say that we're trick-or-treating for charity, and no one bought into that with me. So
that's really funny.
Sad for me. But what is yours on your list?
So first up on mine is Beistle Halloween, or Beistle Halloween, Beistle. So to me, that is so iconic for Halloween. Like, if you go back to when you were a kid, you saw those somewhere, either in movies as Halloween decorations in people's houses, or like you probably had a family member or a grandma or aunt or uncle or your parents. They were there, or you've seen them when you're out at different stores. Like if you were to go to some hardware store, or maybe some like small mom and pop convenience shop
for sure.
Yeah, they would have those like with tape up in the window, or just, on the end rack somewhere. And to me, it's so iconic. And I'll say this, also decorations and things that are inspired by it, but don't necessarily have to be that brand name. So for instance, like this shirt I'm wearing from DOA channels that a little bit. And I remember last year at Spirit Halloween, I saw this cat, because everybody knows the cat. That's the thing about this collection, is that black cat,
iconic.
It's so iconic. And you've seen it in different versions of it. Like, this isn't it exactly, but it's close to it, and I fell in love with it. I found this little chip on the back of it that nobody can see.
Discount.
And I was like, hey, it's damaged. Can I get a discount? Yep. And I remember it was the last one.
It was the last one that we could see. She's like, well, I've got another one in the back. And you're like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
I'll take this one. It's fine.
It's damaged in the back, so I'll take it. Yeah, and it's in our kitchen. It's there year round.
For Oreos. Yeah,
we do put the little Boo Oreos in there that have the orange filling, and it goes with the cat so well. And we actually adopted a little black cat this Halloween season.
She's sleeping.
She's over there. Yeah, you can actually see her cameo in my Friday the 13th Part 3 video. Her name is Kona.
And I didn't really have those growing up. I was more so kind of dollar store type of thing.
And the dollar store stuff would knock off their line too.
Because when you look at these now, they're very expensive decorations now.
They're in demand again.
Yeah. Back in the day, they were not, but now they are. But I remember them more so from movies and from things where it was showing storefronts and like Hallmark movies and things like that. And that's kind of where I recognized them from. I didn't know they were special. I didn't know they had a name. I just thought that they were a thing that showed up in those types of movies, and then you came along and you're like, no, I have so many of them.
Yeah,
So,
and I like to find them too. Like we have one outside, which I don't know if I'll have an image of, or maybe it'll be at the beginning of the video of this skeleton holding a lantern, and it's done in that style. And
mhm.
I've always loved that. I've been putting it outside forever, and that's my parents used to have it. So yeah, I'm a
That's
big fan of this whole art style and its connection to Halloween.
absolutely. So the next one on my list is the idea of a gathering of any sort, and I put it in that type of category because there's so many things that could count as blah, blah, blah. It could be Halloween Horror Nights. It could be my office party that I do kind of every year. It could be one of our friends' Halloween parties, but just at least there's a gathering of some sort. And with COVID, that's obviously going to be difficult this year and it's going to be different. You know, we're not going to a couple of my friends' parties, a couple of your friends' parties.
Yeah, we don't even hear about them.
Yeah, because
Right.
they just weren't planned. So I'm really cherishing my office party that happens on Friday, where I get to
Oh,
dress
cool.
up and give the clients candy, and I'm so excited.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, that's kind of the idea that we're doing right now too, is like giving people a little bit of a gathering. It's a small gathering, but you know, hopefully that's something you guys can appreciate with what we're trying to do here. And yeah, I agree. You know, you don't realize what's missing until it's gone.
mhm.
And especially with this year, yeah, there's so many things like you talked about dressing up in costume. When you're an adult, like parties and Chipotle is like, yeah, that's what you do with your costume oftentimes, or you go downtown or whatever it is, and it just seems like there will be a little bit of that going on, but it'll be nothing like it's ever
Mhm.
been. It'll be
Mhm.
severely diminished, and that's a good choice. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that one.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you brought that up because next on my list is Halloween Horror Nights. If you live in Florida or any nearby states
Or California.
or California, you understand just how big of a deal this is because I've heard that it has the highest production budget for any haunts in the United States. And it's so immersive. Like we can't just go once. We buy fear passes and we almost go every single night that they have it. Like we're
Yeah.
Halloween Horror Nights addicts. And so it brings out the feeling of Halloween so much, not only just from the fog, and sometimes you can go home smelling like fog,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is so crazy not smelling as much fog this year. The houses that they do based off movies evoke that feel too. So they've done Halloween, the original one, Halloween 2, Halloween 4. They did this amazing trick or treat scare zone, which we say is debatably the best scare zone of all time. And so all of that, it feels like you're in a different world. You're in like the world of Halloween when you're there. And they're playing these different types of synthwave music and then tracks from different horror movies playing in the background like all throughout the park.
Costumes, the general vibe, the lighting, the idea that at any moment something's going to come out and get you.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of evokes that scary element of Halloween.
Right.
But then you still have all the fun.
So yeah, that's a big deal to me. I did a whole video on how pissed off I was at the Universal for canceling the event, and every single person I've talked to, not to get off on that tangent, but can realize that they regret doing that. There's a way you could have done it. I mean, not to get into that. I'm just saying that it's like left a hole in the Halloween season. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Halloween Horror Nights for me is definitely one of the top 5. And by the way, this isn't necessarily top 5. It's just 5 things that came to us. There's more to it than just what's on these lists.
Yeah. So kind of going off of Halloween Horror Nights, but not exactly Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. The decorations at Disney World, specifically Magic Kingdom. Those Mickey Mouse, jack-o'-lantern things that they put on the lights, and just how Magic Kingdom transforms into fall, for me, is so reminiscent of Halloween. And, you know, we got to see it, a teensy piece of it, when I brought you the last time. They had started to put them up early. It was July, but they still started to put them up. And I was just like, okay, cool, awesome. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, I could take it or leave it. It's a chance for an adult trick or treat, so obviously I'll take it when I can, but I don't want to spend buku money, so. But the idea of professionally done decorations, I think for me is another one that's really reminiscent of the season.
For sure. Yeah, Disney definitely is able to put on a good production. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, it's not Halloween Horror Nights, because it's different, but they have the budget and scale to do some really cool things. I remember even last year going around the park, and I love the Halloween cups that they hand out, just the
Yes.
paper cups.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll see a spooky Mickey or some version of him, and I like that too. Where where he's in the top hat and everything. There's a version of him where he's a vampire. So just kind of coming across that stuff is really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
My next one is going to be horror movies. And here's the thing: I will watch them year round, but it always ramps up in September and October because we start celebrating Halloween in September. So around that time, it all kicks up into high gear, and it's kind of funny because I've noticed, and I mean you've been here for this too. Every season, and it just happens naturally. I think like last year, I think we were more into the Halloween series. Like we were watching like a lot of the Meyer stuff, and this year and I didn't think it would be, but it's been Jason Voorhees.
He's been all about Jason Voorhees.
Which is great, yeah. And I really love going back to these iconic horror characters, especially just really diving into those film series. It's even fun to just pop in stuff here and there that, like Hocus Pocus, for instance, isn't necessarily what a lot of people would call horror, but those of you in the horror community, I mean, you'll talk about Hocus Pocus in the same sentence as these other movies that we were just mentioning, so you guys know what I'm talking about already. Stuff like that is just so fun to pop in. Like, we watch Trick or Treat probably every year.
Haven't watched it yet.
We haven't watched it yet, but I don't doubt that it's coming.
Yes.
We always try and light like a pumpkin scented candle. I have like, I don't know, we were calling them Halloween Horror Nights lighting that I have in the apartment here behind the TV and over by my computer, and it just becomes like a whole different world that you can enter when watching a movie here, and that's really cool. And especially when you're watching horror movies, it's a staple of it for me.
And that actually kind of, well, how I had put it on my list was immersive movies. So not necessarily horror movies, but just something that gives me a fall vibe, a Halloween vibe, even like a witching hour vibe, because it could take place not anywhere close to Halloween, like you said in Hocus Pocus. You know, not necessarily scary, but just has some sort of aesthetic or ambiance or something to it. And Trick or Treat's the other big one for me, of setting the stage essentially for what the season means and what it looks like, all of Sam's rules. So
yeah,
that was a big one on my list for sure.
Yeah, that movie is a love letter to the celebration of Halloween.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Trick or Treat, I mean, it's just we can't recommend it enough. And you know, you have other stuff too that probably fits into, like when you mention some of those other types of movies, like maybe The Craft or something like that.
Yeah. Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
American
exactly.
Horror Story.
Yeah, a lot of that all goes under that umbrella, and it just it's great to just dive right in. Like you said, immersive is a really great word for it. So my next one is certain types of music that work well during the season.
That's my next one too.
Oh my! See, there we go. So we've had 2 in a row. That's perfect.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
There you go. There are certain types of synthwave that work really well. Dark wave. I mean, you have certain metal bands. You could put on early 9 Inch Nails. You could go throw on a bunch of Rob Zombie, like all of that, Motionless in White, or certain Marilyn Manson songs and albums. It all is so fitting, and you're kind of thinking the same thing. Or even like the Halloween 2018. I love that rendition of it.
So I have a playlist that I play for the clients at that party I was talking about, and it is literally Rob Zombie, the Halloween 2018 theme song, Ghostbusters, tons of Motionless in White, and then there's a song called Her Ghost that...
Dance with the Dead.
Dance with the Dead,
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's actually, I think I'm going to put a Dance with the Dead album cover up here as
so
we
good.
talk about this.
So, I mean, I play that on repeat. Teeth by 5 Seconds of Summer. I mean, that's like my playlist for this time of year, so. Yeah,
so certain types of music, I think for me, just can really get you into the Halloween spirit.
Is that 5?
I got one more.
Okay.
I got one more.
Okay, go. Because I think I've hit 5.
Have you?
Yeah.
Did you check your list?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, because music was my last one, so.
All right, so my last one here. All right, guys, you ready? You ready?
I guess so.
Okay.
Drum
it's
roll.
going to be pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns. To me, that is, you can't have Halloween without them. And I often think of, like, just outside we have big, giant pumpkins.
3 of them.
3 of them. We have them sitting on stacks of hay with our vintage Halloween decorations. And it's such a huge deal. I mean, even in the Halloween movies, you always have that jack o' lantern lit in the credit sequence,
Oh wait.
and then like in Halloween 2, how you have the skull and the pumpkin and everything about it, even the little buckets, like
Oh yeah. The little trick or treat buckets.
they're always done up to be like a jack o' lantern.
It's got that face and.
Yeah, and I mean it's iconic, and it almost kind of goes back earlier to the Halloween decorations, like the first on my list that I was talking about. It almost fits in with that. Different, but you guys get what I'm saying. I have thought so much hard about getting a jack o' lantern tattoo, and it just means for whatever reason it resonates with me. Pumpkins, carved, uncarved, they just work for me on that level. It just it channels Halloween so fast when you have them, especially a large quantity of them. Like, and that's something I think we learned through that trick or treat scare zone.
Oh,
Even
the
trick or
best.
treat, yeah, it was an unbelievable number of them. I don't think I've ever seen that many in one location.
So pretty.
Yeah, and I mean we have the lights over there. I mean we have one over here that's lit up, and to me, you just have to have that. And that's one of the first images probably that pops into my head when we start getting into Halloween and thinking about Halloween.
Now I'm not gonna make one.
You wanted to, though, for a
Yes.
long time.
Yes, but I just can't do it.
You talk about it a lot. And we talk about, like, what would you carve in it?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Let's just put them out there.
Yeah. We'll do a big display, but, carving them, especially, I mean, those big ones is going to be, like, impossible. Yeah.
And I don't I don't make pie, so.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is when I was a kid, my parents, we would carve stuff. And, I mean, they did a lot of it. I mean, I think I did maybe a little here and there.
You probably help scoop.
Yeah, or do the eyes. And the smell of it. If you can remember what that smells like, that's just classic vintage Halloween right there. It's just it brings back so much just thinking about it. And it's a huge staple. I love pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns. There you go. I think that about wraps it up.
I think so, and I think it's very telling that we have so much similar things, so many similar things.
Yeah, I had no idea what was on your list.
Yep.
So it was like,
Yep.
I think at least 2 or 3 things were the same. So that's pretty cool. And obviously we celebrate Halloween together.
Yep.
So, it's going to have that crossover appeal as well. And it was just fun I know I've talked about bringing you on for a video for a while now. We're always talking about what would it be. And then we got into this season and I was like, hey,
here we are.
let's do something for Halloween.
Yes.
So, yeah, I hope you all are having a Halloween. I hope you're having a great time, staying safe, and, just kind of still not letting it be completely destroyed. Halloween is not canceled.
It's not. I support Halloween.
Yes, and we actually have that little ribbon magnet. It's like this big. It's huge. It's up on our fridge over there, and we got that years ago, and it's still relevant.
Still trucking.
Shockingly relevant today.
Yes.
Yeah.
But wish you all a happy Halloween, a safe Halloween.
Yep. And you already know the drill. But for those of you who don't, what do they do?
Like, smash that notification button.
Smash it. Yeah.
So you can stay inside the mind of a movie maniac.
Subscribe.